Hello and welcome to Hank Games Without Hank. My name is John Green, and the Swindon Town Swoodly Poopers are back in the Carling Cup. We are, of course, the Carling Cup holders at the moment, and today we're playing Scunthorpe United in the Carling Cup quarterfinals. Great run for Scunthorpe that ends today. We need to win this game. It's win or go home, and we want to win the Carling Cup. In fact, we want to win all of our competitions because this is our last season as the Swindon Town Swoodly Poopers in FIFA 11, so we just need to find a way to win. We should... Wow, that guy's got a great name. Wasserschneider. All right, well, good luck to him. He better do a good job, because the Swoodly Poopers, in the event that an unfair penalty is called on us or something, we will surround him and we will yell at him. Who do we have starting today? We've got a lot of changes since our last game. We've got D. McGoldilocks and Jesus Angel up front, Leroy Williamson, and silent but deadly Merrick in the middle. All right. Today I'm going to talk about why you should learn a foreign language, which is or sort of the benefits of learning a foreign language, which is particularly instructive here because within the Swindon Town Swoodly Pooper squad there are 7 different languages spoken, and although English is the language that we communicate in as a team because it's the only language I speak. There's always lots and lots of stuff going on language-wise, and half the time I don't know what the heck is going on, to be honest with you. Oh, that was almost a goal. So it's really it's an interesting environment in that sense, and all football clubs are like that. I mean, these days pretty much all football clubs are multilingual on some level, and so are most professional. Baseball clubs, football clubs, all sports. Sports has become such a worldwide cultural phenomenon. Leroy Williamson! What? Out of nothing! Leroy Williamson scores occasionally. Leroy Williamson, he scores occasionally. Also true in his personal life. Leroy Williamson scores occasionally. Leroy Williamson, he scores occasionally. He doesn't always score. Leroy Williamson scores occasionally. Leroy Williamson, he scores occasionally. Oh, no, you had to give it up there. Clearly, you had to pass it to the open guy, Leroy Williamson. I was going to go straight into a second song. Oh, Scunthorpe United doesn't know what hit him. Leroy Williamson. With his occasional goal. He scored one time for the Swindon Town Swoodly Poopers last season, and here he scored one time for us this season. That was beautiful. That was a thing to behold. Oh my gosh. Leroy Williamson. With some vintage Leroy Williamson work. That's the only way you can say it. I mean, that was the Leroy Williamson we know and love, and then now I'm just trying to get him to score at all costs. Right, so sports has become one way in which the world has become so internationalized that languages are, like in this sort of post-nationalistic world, that languages are useful. But it's true in almost every phase of life. That guy had an amazing recovery there. I think that was Ginger Rampage. We live in a very internationalized, globalized world, and it makes a lot of sense in that world to be able to talk to people and not just in the language of your birth. It also impresses people. I know it impresses me when I meet people who are able to speak to me in English, even though they're German or Dutch or Brazilian or whatever. So that's one thing. That's one reason that it's important. But another reason that it's important is that until you study other languages, you can never really understand. You can never really think that much about what language is or what language does. That was a very bad foul. I admit it. I was a little late there, and so you don't really. It's hard to be conscious of what language is doing. And the role it plays in our lives until and unless you learn another language. Because when you're learning your first language as an infant or whatever, your relationship with it is just so different than when you're kind of making the conscious choice to learn something later in life. And so that's when you see how incredibly strange it is that right now I'm using my vocal cords and and whatever to communicate ideas to you, and that you are able to get those ideas more or less immediately. Without having to sort of like translate them in your head or think about what they mean, that it's just something that's happening, and that's pretty magical. And you never really understand the power of that until you don't have it, until you're in a situation where you're learning how to get there. And once you've figured out like how people get there, it's really, I don't know, it's just really interesting. So that for me is the number one reason to learn a language. Actually, even more important than being able to communicate with people is being able to understand like how language works in your life and in the lives of those around you. So that's what I would say is the most important reason. Let's see. Hold on. It's D. McGoldrick. D. McGoldrick should have had a goal there, but he didn't. The other thing, and this is also very important to me, is that it gives you all kinds of opportunities. So I'll give you the example of my best friend Chris. My best friend Chris went to the Peace. He studied Spanish. He went to the Peace Corps, and he worked in the Dominican Republic. And then he came back and he started doing like medical interpreting for people, like sick people who only speak Spanish would need an interpreter, right? Because the doctors only speak English and the people only speak Spanish, and so they need an interpreter. This is a big job, actually. There are a lot of people who have this job, and then that from there, like Chris started to build a business where he would work with other people who were doing that, and then now, you know, he has this big business, and he also has created a lot of jobs in this field that otherwise wouldn't exist, connecting people who need these translation services with the people who can provide them. He can only do that. He only was able to be in the position to do that because he learned to speak Spanish. But even now, like he is so much more able to like just in everyday life, he uses his Spanish so much. Oh no. I mean, we can't lose to Scunthorpe. Let's focus on. We only have a 1-0 lead. Admittedly, it was a Leroy Williamson goal, but it still just counts the once. It's not like they count for two, although they should, because they are so special and beautiful. They are the rarest and most beautiful of flowers. Oh, S. Holden Goldfield, he wanted it. I think it might have been Merrick, actually. Then we could add 40 seconds of silence. I love that. I love it when Merrick scores. All right, come on. Merrick is going to do the corner kick this time. He's small, so he does the corners. Oh, we had some space there. We had a little bit of space, and it was a good idea, but it didn't work. So I just think it leads to all kinds of career opportunities because there will always be a need for people who can do the thing that you can do, no matter like what you end up. Like, I have a similar story. One of my close high school friends studied French literature, which is like, oh, that's not a very... Oh! He's big, he's red, he's found the perfect bed, D. McGoldrick. He's big, he's red, he's found the perfect bed, D. McGoldrick. Yes! Yes! Fantastic header goal. D. McGoldrick is such a finisher with his head. I mean, he's going to go down in the Swindon Town history books as the second best header of the ball in the history of the Swoodley Poopers, behind only the great bald John Green. Oh, that was great to see. Leroy Williamson has scored. D. McGoldrick has scored. It's been a good day for the Swoodley Poopers and a tough day for Scunthorpe United because in addition to having to dress like bumblebees, they are also losing 2-0. Oh! Ooh. Probably shouldn't have made fun of their uniforms. They seem to have taken that very personally. All right, so I have a friend who studied French literature, which doesn't seem like the most career-focused thing that you could study, but like has built a really interesting career that involves translation and some interpreting out of that as well, and also like gets to travel the world, whether it's to France or to Cameroon, all kinds of amazing places that I don't get to travel, partly because I don't speak French, and partly because like my job is always taking me to places like Cincinnati. Not that Cincinnati isn't a nice town; it's lovely. I like it very much. but, you know, it's not Cameroon in terms of sexiness. And by sexiness, I don't mean, like, actual sexiness. I mean, like, you know what I mean. I mean, like, it's a cooler place. Speaking of which, Chris Waters is on the phone. I'll call him back at the end of the Swoodly Pooper game. Oh, no! Come on. Just take it out of bounds, Scunthorpe. Give up the ghost, boys. I think that, I don't mean to hurt your feelings, but I think you're defeated. Oh, no. Again, I shouldn't make fun of them, because then they get feisty. That guy's name is Togwell. I wish we had a Togwell on our team. That would be fantastic. So I do think you should learn a language. I think it'll make your life richer. And I have to say I greatly regret not having learned one yet, but that I still would like to. I mean, I know some French. You know, I can speak enough French to, like, order off of a menu, and I know, you know, like, a handful of words in Russian and German and Dutch, but I don't. I unfortunately, like, I always felt that I didn't have. I always used to say, like, I just don't have the brain for learning languages, and I do think that the way my brain is wired makes learning languages maybe more challenging than it is for most people. But I don't think it's as simple as like, not having the brain for it. I actually think. I think, you know, if you want to learn something, you do. And as evidence for that, I would offer up the fact that lots and lots and lots and lots of Dutch people speak English, and they have all different kinds of brains. So, you know, like, many people, a much higher percentage of the population in Europe is polylingual than in the U.S. So it's not like American brains are just wired differently or lesser than. So it must be something more complicated than that. So I still intend to learn a language at some point. Maybe French, just because I have the advantage. Maybe Spanish, just because it's cool. I don't know. Oh, some desperate defending, and Scunthorpe United have gone home defeated. Wolford squats in shame. It's not fun to lose, and I'm sorry you guys had to do it, but I'm glad it was thanks to a Leroy Williamson goal. Congratulations, there he is. Leroy Williamson with a fantastic, beautiful goal. He scores occasionally. Thanks for watching. Best wishes.